video that I could edit and everything, but I had to record on my phone. It just was not having enough space, so I got to clear space and do other stuff on that phone. So there's that. But I hope you guys are having a great night. I hope you guys can hear me. I had to put my speaker up here because that seems to be the best way to get sound when it's in my collar. It doesn't work right. But let me introduce myself to you guys. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Nessa. This is Necessary Vibes, and the vibe is necessary for today is to talk about Epic Universe. Is it going to do the mouse in? Because there's a lot of different thoughts on it. Also, we're going to talk about, is it a good time to go for people who are not pass holders, who are not employees, and who are not regulars in Florida and the Orlando area in general? Like, what about people like myself who live almost 3,000 miles away and we have to fly in for our experiences for our Orlando fix? Is it worth it for us to go to Epic Universe this year, or should we have FOMO and just wait it out to next year? So these are all these things that you want to consider and more. So that's what we're going to explore. And I hope you're having a great evening. I wanted to make this video because I've seen quite a few people go to Epic Universe. A lot of bloggers and Disney vloggers that I watch regularly on the YouTube space, they have been just salivating, if you will, over Epic Universe. And I tend to I watch the Mammoth Club. I watch um, Kyle Palo, JoJo's World. For example, I also tend to watch Tim Tracker. I've also watched Chris the Girl and Jacob the Carpetbagger, and also Tampa J. When we talk about people who are able to go into the Disney parks and actually give a pretty good assessment, not just over parks, but a lot of these people do a lot of different things. They do traveling, roadside attractions, haunts. I know Carpetbagger, Tampa J, Chris Girl, they're kind of in that wheelhouse and pocket. Mammoth Club will do that too. And out of all of them, I think Mammoth Club is really diverse, but Molly and Alan and Max over there, they give a really good perspective on theme parks. Ultimately, I think there's room for everybody to enjoy. We don't have to fight over who's better or who's whatever, but Epic Universe definitely is that cool girl in school right now. And I've watched a lot of different people's POVs. The rides look great. The land looks immersive. It's clean park. It looks beautiful. But sadly, not all things are going to stay the same. They all do mention that as they're visiting the park, because they've done Passover previews, they've done employee previews, been guests of employees, friends who are employees that have done that. Um, and some have even been invited as media for media invites. And it's a special time because the park's not at capacity. It doesn't have a huge crowd. And they all mentioned that it's never going to be like that ever again. So is it really worth it for people like myself who live almost 3,000 miles away and we have to fly um, into Disney in the Orlando area? we What the crap? People are weird. Hold on, guys. I am going to put this person in timeout. Thank you. Hi, DB. We're trying to keep this a good, safe community. Hi, Elise. Hope you're having a great day. We're just talking about Epic Universe. A lot of people are wondering, is it going to do Disney in? No, I'm not in prison. I'm in my room. My setup was I broke unfortunately, my other tripod broke, so we're kind of jerry rigging some things. So I'm doing good, DB. How about yourself? I'm doing great. I was gonna do this as a YouTube video, but we are having some technicality issues, so I said let's just do it live and let's talk with the people. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate you. Because I'm not feeling very pretty right now. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. But as I was saying, a lot of these vloggers and YouTubers that have been to pass holder previews, media nights, even employee previews, all are saying that the crowd capacity is never going to be the same, where you're going to be able to freely walk through all these wonderful lands. And they look great. They look very beautiful. I'm excited to see it for myself. Don't leave me to. Oh, thank you, DB. I appreciate you. Thank you, Angela. Appreciate you as well. I like uplifting positive people. So thank you. You found the right spot here. And I agree with them. Once the park opens in about 3 weeks, I think we're about 3 weeks out from open, that we're not going to see these low wait times for a very long time. And I know over on the Universal, the OG Universal side, they use, like, there's the Orlando Informer meetup that usually happens, which is a great value for people to kind of do like after hours event where you can ride a lot of rides, eat as much as you want, a lot of different things. Hi, London, how you doing? And that's always a really popular event. But I don't see that event coming to Epic Universe anytime soon. I think they're going to try to maximize as much money as possible, because right now people can't even get a annual pass for Epic Universe. So if you have an annual pass at Universal Orlando, and let's just say Hollywood too, because sometimes people think it's transferable and it's not. But if you have a pass there, annual pass, you can't use it at Epic. So people who are going for Passover previews, they just have been granted the pass to buy a pass or a ticket into Epic Universe. And I believe ticket prices start about $130. So when you see some of these YouTubers going in multiple times for passholder previews, they're paying each time, and it's a pretty penny. And that's not including food and drink, whatever they buy inside the park. So for the average person who does not live there, who does not have an annual pass or anything like that, what does it mean for us? You know, is it worth it? Should we wait? I say wait. I know it's hard unless you want to pay, um unless you want to pay for like the fast one. It's not called fast pass, but the express pass, which I know, I think it was either JoJo's World or Tim Tracker I saw that one day. Hi, Angela. One day it was $230 for the express pass. So if you're already paying like $130 to get in, do you really want to pay $230 for express pass to guarantee that you can get on basically all the rides and ride them faster? Because honestly, when that park opens, people are going to have to do a Sophie's Choice and decide which lands they want to visit, when they want to visit, because you're not going to get everything done like in one day. It's impossible. London has a question. Yes, London, you can ask a question if it's geared towards Epic Universe, and is it going to do Mickey N? Sidebar, and spoiler alert, it's not going to do Mickey N. I wanted to introduce myself to you guys, and thank you guys for being here. Again, my name is Nessa. This is Necessary Vibes. We talk about a lot of different things. We like to have uplifting, content on here, and I love theme parks and amusement parks and stuff. I actually was an employee of Disney for 8 years. At the Disney store, I did leadership and entertainment, and did an internship about 12 years ago at Disney World for 1 year. And my great uncle, may he rest his soul, he passed away unfortunately a couple of days before Christmas in 2024. He actually was an Imagineer. He worked in Imagineering as a welder at Disneyland for over 40 years. I'm in Glendale, Arizona. That's where I'm at. So Mickey's my neighbor to California. No, thanks, London. I appreciate that. I miss my uncle a lot. He was very proud of me when I got my internship, and for me working for the Disney store and stuff like that. He used to come see me a lot, and he would so cute. He would talk to my castmates and guests about a bunch of different stories. He actually worked with Walt Disney. Walt Disney is the one that gave him his opportunity to go into welding, because he did welding in the military. Prior to that, he worked horticulture and landscaping. So like, like the Mickey head that's outside of Disneyland, when you go through the gates, right where the train station is, he would work on things like that, the topiaries, stuff like that. Walt asked him one day, he's like, Bill, that was his name, are you really happy doing what you want to do? What's your lifelong dream? And he's like, I'm a welder by trade. I want to keep doing that. And he's like, no problem. And he got him into welding. He was a welder, and he worked with Imagineering. And he actually worked on the Splash Mountain project at both parks, so at Disneyland and at Disney World, where he was transforming America Sings, taking all those animals out animatronics and putting them into Splash Mountain. And he was happy with the conversion of Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou, actually. He really liked that. So, he always taught me, and when we have our conversations, and as I would learn, be an employee and going to Disney University and all that other stuff, is that, competition fuels innovation and creativity. And I'm not mad at Epic Universe. I think it's a really beautiful park. I hope they have more nighttime hours because that park definitely looks like it's geared towards being a prime nighttime park, just with the lighting and the water shows. Because really, to be honest with you, who wants to be out in the Florida heat looking at a water show? Especially when you have those intermittent rain showers in the summer. Nobody got time for that. Nobody wants to do that. So I really hope they extend their nighttime hours because, as you guys know, Universal, they aren't known for having a long nightlife and long hours at night unless they're doing like Halloween Horror Nights. Most times during the week, and this is even in the summer, they will close at 7 or 6 or even 8 p.m. And they're not really known for being a nighttime park. So hopefully that can change with Epic Universe because it definitely looks like they put a lot of investment into lighting, even into the floor or the ground, the water show, the carousel they have there. It's all celestial theme. So if you have a celestial theme, you're thinking stars and not just the sun, but like stars and comets and constellations. And that all comes out at night. So hopefully they'll have it longer. But getting back to everybody else who isn't in Florida, is it a good time for us to go to Epic Universe? I went to Epcot when it was raining. Yeah, me too. I've been there a lot. Well, obviously, I was an intern, so I would go there a lot. I remember at my internship London, I was at Epcot Valentine's Day, and it was rainy. It was the best time to go because no one wants to be out in the rain. But also, too, Disney's really good about, at least in Florida, having a lot of their attractions in show buildings because of the rain. So that's where they have an advantage over Epic Universe. Epic Universe has a lot. Thank you for bringing that up too about the rain, because that's something a lot of YouTubers now who have been able to do pass holder previews or media previews and gone multiple times are now kind of considering, they're like, summer's coming. Florida has afternoon rain showers between 2 and 4 p.m. that can last either like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. And that rain is no joke. Like, no joke. It will come at you sideways, downpours. It is just crazy. But they've said they've realized that a lot of Epic Universe's appeal and what you can do is outside, exposed to the elements, all out in the open. Now, a lot of rides themselves, say for, I think, the Yoshi ride, the Wolfman ride, and Darkmoor in the Dark Universe section, and a lot of stuff in the Isle of Berk, which is the Isle, How You Train Your Dragon section. Oh, and the Donkey Kong ride. All those are like really exposed to the elements. So that could lead to potential rides not being operational during rainstorms, and also if lightning is within a 25-mile radius, because you guys do know if lightning is within a 25-mile radius, they got to shut things down because who wants to get electrocuted on their vacation? That's a good way to end it. What's my favorite ride at Disney? That's a good question. It depends on my mood. And now I'm always going to ride the Haunted Mansion. I am a Haunted Mansion girly. I must admit, I'm always going to ride the Haunted Mansion at Disney World and at Disneyland. Now, however, I can skip Pirates of the Caribbean over at Disney World. The Disneyland version is the best. It's the OG, but it's longer, has more scenes. It just feels more fulfilling. In Epcot, I love Ratatouille, but however, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, if you haven't written that, it'll change your life. It is a great ride. It is a really great ride. So, yeah, I'm kind of like all over the map when it comes to that. It's hard for me to choose because I like a little something everywhere. Um, I will say at Animal Kingdom, I like the Flight of Passage, right? I think that's like soaring on 2000. And I think you're really immersed into the Avatar, the world of Avatar. I mean, you have sights and smells, and the ride vehicle is like one of those flying banshees, and you feel it breathing. It's like, whoa. Yeah, Hollywood Studios, I do like Rock and Roller Coaster. I got mixed feelings on them changing it to the Electric Mayhem ride. I'm a Muppets fan. I love the Muppets. Actually, Janice the Muppet is my wallpaper screensaver for my phone. So I love the Muppets. But I heard a couple years ago that Steven Tyler allegedly might have been embroiled in some stuff that's not conducive to Disney, and they were already starting to think about changing it out. Um, I know people have a love for the Muppets, as do I. I'm so sad they're getting rid of like the Muppets Courtyard and, you know, um, Muppets 3D because I really love that. I love the quirky satirical jokes and everything. Sam Eagle, he's that dude. And I love all that. And I hate that they're getting rid of that area because that's like the last bits of old school MGM studios. Last bits to remind you of the Osborne family lights. Like when I was doing my internship, they had the Osborne family lights. And I remember I got to show my mom them the last year they were having the Osborne family lights. And it was when they had like it's the Streets of America in Hollywood Studios. And it was really great. It was this big Christmas spectacular. I'll have to do a YouTube video on that because I actually have video footage and pictures of me at the Osborne Family Lights. And it's just sad. I know progress has to be made. I hope they don't change it too much because Monstropolis, because they're changing it to the Monsters Inc. land, Monstropolis, actually has like a lot of residential features that they can actually convert and keep. Now, some things like the Santa Claus or the snowman and stuff, I think they'll have nods and touches to Hollywood Studios, yep, that area of America as we know it, the streets of America as we know or remember it. But they're going to put the Monsters Inc. spin on it. But the ride, the door ride that they're doing for Monsters Inc. looks really, really good. You have a random question. Okay, yeah, go ahead and shoot with your question. So yeah, so it's going to be a couple of years before they have that done. And then, of course, remember in Magic Kingdom, they're also working on Villains, the Villains Layer, Villains Land, and they're also working on um, Cars, like Cars Ride or something, a couple of Cars Ride. So Tom Sawyer's Island is going, the Mark Twain Riverboat. And I'm not mad at that because it kind of diversifies some attractions. Because while you can't do Tom Sawyer's Island at Disneyland, you can definitely ride the Mark Twain Riverboat and the Columbia Riverboat, which they use inside of Fantasmic. So I think that's cool because it kind of will incentivize people to visit both parks. If you have the same thing and same experiences at both parks, what's the reason to go? You know what I mean? So yeah. So have you seen people making videos about secrets in the parks? Yeah, I've seen people do park secret videos quite a bit. Molly with the Mammoth Club, she does a lot of park secret videos. I know the DFB blog, they'll do some, and their sister YouTube channel. I forgot what that was. It might be the DFB. Anyway, they'll do park secrets videos a lot of times, and sometimes like Tim Tracker or Paging Mr. Morrow, which I really love him too. They'll have like some secrets and stuff like that. Adam the Woo was really good about doing park secret videos, but and some of his associates. like Jacob the Carpetbagger and other people. So they'll do a lot of park secret videos and stuff like that. So and it's really popular for people to do that, especially since a lot of information about park secrets aren't really secret anymore. Um, you know, because there's so many YouTube videos. So are they true? Which ones? I can maybe answer a few because my uncle told me some park secrets for Disneyland, so I might be able to help you out with that. Um, but speaking of like, with all the greatness of Disneyland that we're talking about and the secrets, the lore, and everything like that. This is why I know that while Epic Universe looks amazing, it's a beautiful park, and I do want to go. Maybe not this year, but I do want to go one day. Um, it's not going to do Disney in. Now, will it take some attendance? It's been a while. Okay, if you think about it, London, let me know. Put it in the chat, and we'll get circle back to it because I would love to answer that for you. Um, I was just saying, yeah, it's not going to take Disney out. This is not going to be the nail in the coffin to take Disney down. No, 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 it's not. Now, will it take some attendance? It might. And let's just keep it clear. It might because people are excited about Epic Universe. But let's also consider while it does have room to grow, there isn't a lot to do there. And like we were talking about before, a lot of rides are exposed to the elements. So almost every land except for the Harry Potter section has like rides who are exposed to the elements. So the Isle of Berk, which is from How to Train Your Dragon, it has a lot of rides exposed to the elements. I think all of its rides are exposed to the elements or some type of like water ride or something like that. They have a show that's inside, but I don't think they have any rides that are inside. So if there's lightning within a 25-mile radius of the area, or it's just torrential flooding and rain, it's going to get shut down. And that could shut down that whole little section. I don't like to call it little, like little, but you know what I mean? It could shut down that whole portal, if you will. Then if you go to Darkmoor, which is the part of like the um, classic Universal monsters. So think Dracula, Invisible Man, The Mummy, Frankenstein's monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein, all those ones there. It has one ride. It's like the Wolfman, the Curse of the Werewolf, I think it is. That ride is very exposed to elements, but the top tier ride that everybody's talking about wants to ride, and I encourage you to go look at some POV footage that is out there about this one. Uh, oh, it's okay, Linda. It was really fun to talk to you too. Don't be a stranger. Come on by anytime I have a live. So come on by. Thank you for participating. I appreciate it. You're cool people. And have a great night. So yeah, the Monsters Unchained ride, that's all housed inside. And they've done a good job with that queue line. I will say too. Thank you. You have a wonderful night too. They've done a really good job with that queue line because that queue line, it does wrap around. They do anticipate crowds. However, it's all covered. And that's completely smart because the Florida sun is one thing, because you're probably going to see like once it opens in a couple of weeks, you're probably going to see like 90 minutes or more. Because, like, if you look and think about how Hagrid's motorbike ride, and I think that's it's on the Isle Islands of Adventure side of Universal Studios in Orlando. If that one constantly has a long wait, and even Velocicoaster also constantly have long waits, and like it can be like 120 minutes or more sometimes, then rides like Monsters Unchained are going to have like the same wait times and similar, maybe even worse when it's fully open to the public, right? So they've negotiated for that. They got the covered waiting, the covered um, zone where you're walking through, right, a standby queue. Um, so they have all that. So I think that was really good. And they try to make it immersive as much as possible. Of course, you don't want to give all the way the secrets and put all the money in the ride queue outside. You want people to come inside to the big castle because it's all about the big castle, right? So that's what that's all about, right? Then so again, so let's say Alaberg completely shuts down, people run over to Darkmoor, it's gonna flood the Monsters Unchained ride, which is already gonna be flooded with people. It's gonna flood the burning windmill tavern or whatever it is, a burning tavern. That's a big draw and attraction. It's going to overload Das Steakhouse. You know what I mean? It's so that's not fun. And then you look at Super Nintendo World, Yoshi's is the main one that's outside, and Donkey Kong Country. And right now, the Donkey Kong ride is the only ride in Donkey Kong Country. Not saying they're not going to add more later, but I don't see them adding more until a really good substantial amount of revenue comes in, which is going to happen because they have some really good IP that they own. Finally. In the park, and they can really build off of it. So the minions aren't upholding it by themselves anymore, or the people of Whoville with Dr. Seuss, or Harry Potter for that matter, because Harry Potter was big in, Universal and then Islands of Adventure, and they have another expansive world to get into. But and most of Harry Potter land stuff only usually has like about one ride, right? So they have Escape for Gringotts on one part of it, and I think Hagrid's Magical Motorbike, right? That's the other one. Oh, the Quidditch one. I forgot about that. It makes people really sick. So like three, really. But it's more about the experience of being immersed in, that whole deal. You know what I mean? Um, and so the Harry Potter universe with the Fantastical Beasts section, it's beautiful. It does look like Paris. I've been to Paris before, been to Nice, France, and Barcelona, Spain. And let me tell you, it looks very European, very on point with that. But again, only has two main attractions outside of doing the wand activities. So, you know, already they're having some issues with the virtual queue and people getting virtual queues and having it available for the Ministry of Magic, right? So hopefully they get rid of that soon. But it's just gonna and I don't mind virtual queues too bad, but it's gonna get really bad. It's gonna get really bad when it opens up, because that's a very popular ride and it has such an immersive queue, right? So even people who aren't going to ride the ride and they want to wait for the party, the waiting area that they have is so immersive. It looks like a movie set. So I'm not being a hater, I'm being a congratulator. And yeah, it's a lot. And so, people are going to want to go in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of limit how many people can actually come in at a time. And they're going to have to, because they can't overload the queues inside the actual waiting areas and stuff within, the ride. But it's a really beautiful ride. But that's the covered ride. And then the next attraction they have is a circus, the Fantastical Beast Circus that they got there. So that's it, but it's more than the Isle of Burke. I could tell you that. The next thing, I'm already 30 minutes in. Wow. The next thing I think about, yeah, so it's just Super Nintendo World, Isle of Burke, Darkmoor, which is the Monsters Unchained, and then the Harry Potter land, and then Celestial Park. I guess it'll be like five. Celestial Park is the one you see that has the Celestial merry-go-round, that has the Stardust Racers, which has a flux capacitor from Back to the Future on the back of both roller coasters. And I think those are the only two rides. Yeah, in Celestial Park. So each portal or universe at this point has at least two rides. I think Isleberg might have a little bit more, but again, it's all outside. Celestial Park is in the same thing. Celestial Park will be non functioning, maybe possibly the carousel because it's under this dome thing, but you can't do Stardust Racers or pretty much anything else or be out in the elements at Celestial Park when there's a downpour or if there's like lightning within 25-mile radius of the park. So it, depending on if it storms, it will storm, not if, it will storm in Florida and they will have hurricane season. And it can really shut down the park and really make a bad time for people. So I would say consider what time of year you want to go. I probably want to go in the summer because it hot. Okay, it gets hot, and the potentiality of intermittent rain showers and lightning and stuff like that, and really getting started for hurricane season, it can shorten your trip into that. So I wouldn't do that. And honestly, if we're going to be honest, completely honest, if you aren't already in that park by now as an annual pass holder for a media preview or for an employee preview, the odds aren't in your favor. I would just wait till 2026. I heard 2026 they're going to open up, possibly by the end of that year, open up annual pass for that one, for that park. But I would just wait for a lot of the hype to die down. It's going to stay. And when I say wait for the hype to die down, I'm not saying it's not going to be a popular park. It's going to be a popular park. It's the new thing. They want newness in Universal. I know they put like the Troller Coaster in in Universal, and they have like the Shrek Swamp Play Yard and all that stuff, but it's geared towards a niche group, right? Little babies, little kids, right? And you need something for everyone because ultimately you want to have theme parks where there is something for everyone and everybody can do something. But I will say this: if you have any type of motion sickness or vertigo or anything like that, there aren't too many rides you can do at Epic Universe. So you're just there for the vibes. There for the vibes at Darkmoor. There for the vibes of Super Nintendo. You can ride Yoshi, right? You might be safe to do the Mario Kart racers inside of Bowser's Castle, but that just depends because it has a visor you can lift up and off, which incorporates a lot of the elements. But some people are really, and they need those slow rides. And there might be some stuff you could do with Isle of Berk, but there's not a lot that people with certain medical conditions or disabilities where they can't do a lot of jerky and fast stuff. There's not a lot of things, or with said movement, there's not a lot of things you can do there. You will just be there for the vibes. They do have a wheelchair accessible carriage in the carousel, a couple of them, I think. So there's that. But again, if you can't take extreme movement, sharp turns, jerkiness, possibly going up and down and stuff like that, there's not a lot you can do. Yoshi is going to be for you. You're going to be there for the vibes. You're going to be there for the vibes. That's it. So then you just got to assess and say, like, okay, is it worth it for me to go this year? If I can ride a lot of the rides, and to each their own. Some people just want to go for the vibes and it's worth it, and if it's worth it for you, then yeah, absolutely go. But no, it's still going to be very crowded. This year especially, it's going to be very, very crowded. My throat was getting dry. It's going to be very crowded. So I would say wait till sometime in 2026. Don't go during, if you're able to not go during traditional spring break time, don't do that. If you can go after the new year when everybody is done with like Christmas and that sort of thing, they don't want to be in they wanted to be in the parks for New Year's Eve, that's done. If you can go around that time, that'd be great. February is usually a good time to go. There's not a lot happening, so people are usually back at work and school. But if you can take the time off to go, that might be a good time to go. before Thanksgiving. It might be a good time to go. Because usually those are the times for theme parks where it's kind of like a lull moment, you know, and you might still have a good amount of people, but you're not going to be near capacity where you were at had you, gone through a traditionally busy time period. So, just things to consider. Again, I don't think Epic is taking down the mouse. I don't think that at all. It's a really beautiful park. I can't wait to see it in person because everybody's like you have to experience this one time in your life in person because videos and pictures just don't do it justice. And I get excited by stuff like that. Like I said, how I learned from my uncle and from other people in Disney is that competition fuels creativity and imagination. There's a lot of things that were Disney coded that they you could tell they learned from Disney, especially from again Bantu, East and West. Over there with Star Wars, the Star Wars universe, if you will. Also, even with Toy Story, Toy Story Land over at uh, Disney World. Also, the World of Marvel Avengers Campus at Disney's California Adventure. That's really immersive into the storytelling. Um, Also, with the after hours events that Disney puts on and with the different characters and the lighting and all this stuff, you could tell they learn because here's the thing is a lot of people that work for Disney work for Universal. A lot of people who work at Universal work at Disney. So, they're collaborating, they're building up each other's ideas, you know. So, and also too, why would you want both parks or groups, whatever, to have brand new things at the same time? I'm kind of glad there's some diversity and some time frame, some space in between each one. I will never not go to Orlando and not go to Disney. If you tell me Universal or Disney, I'm gonna go to Disney because it just evokes really good memories. I know the customer service is good. I know my way around. I'm a DVC member as well. It just feels good. It just feels like when they say welcome home, yes, I do feel welcome home. Sometimes at Universal, I feel like a little bit like a stranger, but Epic Universe is really enticing me. And also, too, I'm kind of getting energized to go to Universal Studios Hollywood because they've been doing fan fest nights and they look really great. Like with Back to the Future, especially, look really good. So doing stuff like that and Halloween Horror Nights. Hopefully, I get a chance to go out there and cover that for not just for you guys. I'm also a podcast co-host of the Hip Hop Rewind podcast, and we cover like events and different things. So not just hip hop music, but pop culture, world events, and that sort of thing. And then and we record 4 days a week unless there's something big happening. Um, and then I'm also managing editor and writer for Woman to Woman Talk Digital Magazine. It's a digital woman of color magazine. So I'm always looking at, things that we can cover for people for both elements. So for both outlets. So very big into media. And now I'm just getting into my own YouTube space and I'm on TikTok and Instagram as well. So just really trying to boost my content creator skills up, all while I'm battling stage 1 CO ovarian cancer. I wanted to go ahead and point that out. For the person that called me fat and said I need to eat less, I eat way less. It's called treatment and cancer face. It is real. Okay, it's very real. I can tell you that. But yeah, overall, and can we stop the talk of Disney's in trouble? They are not in trouble. This is not going to be the one to take the company out. It is not. It is not. Will it make them uncomfortable? Yeah, probably, most likely. Absolutely. And guess what? They're prepared for that. But unlike Universal, Disney also has other experiences and other properties to build on. While Universal does have like Universal Studios, like in Shanghai, I think, or Singapore and Japan, for sure. Maybe some other ones. And of course, their US parks. Disney has a bigger footprint worldwide. And yes, some things can be the same. Um, but they're really building onto a lot of other stuff too that they have going on at both the US parks and abroad. So there's that. And then also too, they have Disney Adventures or Adventures by Disney, which is their vacation company, which is like you can go on these global vacations, even in the United States. And it just has like a Disney twist to it. And you have a adventure guide and all that stuff. So that's nice. And then you also have the Disney Cruise Line, which is, I think, going out of Singapore now. They've got an Australia leg, they got a Hawaii leg, they got all over the Caribbean, just about Alaska, Mexico, that sort of thing. So they're not just vested in the parks. And then it even goes to, I know it's controversial, like with Disney Plus, they have that, and the Disney Channel still. Disney merchandise and entertainment, because they're into the gaming space as well. They have a new game called Disney Solitaire. Haven't played it, but that's out. Their merchandise and collaborating with other brands for the merchandising and stuff. So, and that's just with the Disney stuff. That doesn't even get into like ESPN, doesn't even get into Hulu and FX and the Fox stuff and the other studios and stuff that they own. So they'll be fine. So no, to answer anybody's question, it's not taking Disney out. It might make them uncomfortable. They may see some down numbers of attendance on some notable stuff, especially the first probably 6 or 7 months Epic is open. So pretty much the rest of the year. And that works well for those of us who just want to go to Disney, because actually I have a family trip planned in end of October, beginning of November. In honor, we go, me and my mom like to go during that time of year in honor of my dad, who, yes, I have a sad Disney parent dying story too. I actually came home to walk in my graduation. I was in the culinary program for a year at Disney, and I came to walk home my culinary school graduation, because I actually graduated earlier than May, but Mickey wouldn't let me off to go walk with my friends. But my school felt like it was important for me to walk with that honor, and I was doing some really good stuff. Like met Kat Cora and a lot of other good chefs. So like, yeah, it was great. Anyway, they were very proud of me. Anyway, I went home to walk in my graduation, and 3 days later, my dad unexpectedly died of a widowmaker heart attack. And one of the last things he wanted to do, he told me, he's like, he wanted me to initiate getting paperwork information, helping them get our family Disney Vacation Club property. And so we did that after he passed away, and I was instrumental with helping my mom with that. And Halloween was his favorite holiday, or one of his favorite. Halloween and Christmas he really loved. And he died October 29th, so right before Halloween. So around that time, we really like to go to celebrate him and to remember him and to thank him, because without him, we would not have our vacation club property. And it's something that we can keep in our family for a really long time. So, you might be seeing this video, it's like you have a lot of sentimental history with Disney. You're probably biased towards Universal. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I do have sentimental Disney history, and I really do love the company. I think their customer service is really excellent. However, I can applaud another company when they're doing things good, and also say where they need some improvement. And I just don't know what it's going to look like for a lot of these rides that are out in the elements and experiences that are out in the elements when storm time comes, because it's coming, it is coming. So hopefully there'll be more in a drought. This is the time we do want a drought. Not a lot of rain, but I just, don't know what's going to happen when there's like lightning in the area, or there's, because you can't be out on rides if lightning is within a 25-mile radius. I know you've heard me say that quite a bit, but it was so ingrained to us there. Oh my gosh, just really, really hardcore. And it's important because it's customer safety and employee safety as well. And so I just don't know what's going to happen. So that's my biggest question that I have, is what's going to happen. And right now, the Express Pass was like $230. So do you want to pay $130 just about, if you're lucky to get in, plus $230 for an experience? That's like over $400. or just about $400, but like, 360, that's still a lot for one day too, just one day. So I don't know. I don't know. But whatever you decide to do, I think the biggest thing is make plans for your vacation visiting these theme parks because you want to go. Have proper expectations. So if you do go to Epic Universe and you don't pay for the express pass, which I don't blame you because it's expensive because, the way things are set up now, we want to be smart with our money. Have proper expectations. If you're only going for one day, just realize, you know what, I'm probably not gonna get on everything. What is my high list of priorities? Also, prioritize how long you want to be at the park. Not everybody wants to do sun up to sundown, right? But realize if you either get there early and leave early, you might be missing on some things. And if you get there late and stay late, you might be missing out on some things, especially if they have virtual queues still. That's a big one. So, just some things to kind of like think about and negotiate. And then also, too, it's like, do you really want to stay on Universal property or not? The Helios Hotel looks really great, but I heard it's really expensive too. And that what I'm seeing from a lot of influencers and vloggers who are stayed there and was trying to do the early entry, you don't really get a really big early entry. You're kind of just there early to get to the head of the pack, if you will. But that's it. So just consider what's worth it for you. I always advise people, I'm not trying to count your money, but don't go for broke trying to have the keep up with the Joneses vacation. Do what's within your range and realize, you know what, you can come back. If there's something you didn't see on this trip, that just should incentivize you to make another trip to come back and you can really enjoy yourself. And just consider the time of year. Do I need to go when there's going to be a big traditional crowd, or can I wait? Should I wait till the next year when some things have died off a little bit and the people who want to be first at everything are not the first anymore? So, do I want to do that? So just make it fun, make it you, and have, realistic expectations for you physically, your budget, and what you're going to be able to ride. That's the biggest takeaway, I would say. And do you. And you have an authentic vacation. You have an authentic experience that you can remember. That's what I would say. That's what I would say. Well, I'm going to wrap this up because I was here. I was like, oh, I'll do 30 minutes. And 30 minutes is now 47, which is not bad considering I've talked to some really great people. Shouts out to London Scott. It was great talking to you today. Angela Martin, appreciate you. Angela, you are so awesome. Also, DB, thank you for holding it down. DB was not playing. Say, hey, don't come in here with no disrespectful-ish. Got you. Also, shout out to Elise who was here. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys for joining me for this live because I wasn't sure if I should do it. I'm glad I did, and I will do it again some other time. So as I like to always sign off, and it might not be a Disney video or Epcot video, who knows? We'll see whatever vibe is necessary. We will talk about it. But as I always say, remember, let's keep our prayers up and our hopes high, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. Now, it might take me a couple minutes to turn this off, but let me see. Thank you all. Appreciate you guys. And